I really don't care what happens to her at all. I don't care. Like everybody they tiptoe around with this social media, but what y'all don't get is that it be real consequence for y'all little flexes, y'all quick flexes for $300 that you need. It be consequence.
Everyone thought it was just going to be another one of Teyana Taylor's glamorous vacations. The kind she shared on Instagram every summer, with poolside selfies, designer swimsuits, and captions about living her best life. Nobody expected a single photo to create a storm that would spin completely out of control. But that's exactly what happened. One picture changed everything and left people wondering if Teyana had been hiding a secret all along. It all started when Teyana flew out to the Bahamas. She had been quiet on social media for weeks, which was unusual for her. She'd hinted at needing time to recharge, and fans assumed she was just taking a break. When she finally posted the first vacation shots, it was like she'd never left. Sun-kissed skin, bright bikinis, big sunglasses. She looked radiant, and everyone was quick to comment on how happy she seemed after such a messy year. People scrolled past the first few photos without thinking too much about them. But then came the picture that stopped everyone in their tracks. It was a casual snap of Teyana sitting on a lounge chair, her hand resting lightly on her stomach. Maybe if it had been any other pose, no one would have noticed. But that simple gesture was enough to send the internet into a frenzy. Within minutes, the comments section exploded with questions. Was she pregnant? Was she trying to send a message? Or was it just the angle? At first, Teyana didn't say anything. She just posted a heart emoji in response to the flood of speculation. But that only made people more curious. Some fans congratulated her, insisting they could see a clear baby bump. Others accused her of faking it for attention. Some claimed she was purposely stirring up rumors to stay relevant. No matter what she intended, the narrative was out of her hands. It didn't take long for gossip blogs to pick up the story. Screenshots of the photo began circulating with headlines that screamed things like, "Teyana's secret pregnancy revealed," and "New man, new baby?" It was only a matter of time before Iman saw it too. The timing couldn't have been worse. Iman and Teyana were still trying to figure out how to co-parent without falling back into old patterns. Their relationship had been through so many ups and downs that neither of them fully trusted the other anymore. Even when they were smiling in public, there was always tension under the surface. So when Iman logged onto Instagram and saw her holding her stomach, he didn't think it was cute. He thought it was deliberate, and it made him furious. Iman had always been protective over his daughter, and even though he and Teyana were no longer together, he still felt entitled to know what was happening in her life, especially if it could affect their family. In his mind, this was more than just a photo. This was a message, maybe even a power play, and he wasn't about to sit back and watch it unfold without saying something. So he did what he always did when his emotions got the best of him. He went straight to social media. He opened his Instagram stories and posted a screenshot of the picture, adding text in all caps that read, "Is this even real?" A few minutes later, he followed it up with another story that said, "Some folks will do anything for clout." It was like throwing gasoline on a fire. Fans were already speculating, but now they had confirmation that Iman thought something shady was going on. Within an hour, #Teyana Taylor was trending on Twitter. Everyone had an opinion. Some people sided with Iman, saying they were tired of celebrities playing games with their followers. Others defended Teyana, insisting she had every right to live her life however she wanted. While the internet tore itself apart trying to pick sides, Teyana was in her hotel suite, watching it all unfold on her phone. First, she was in shock. She had known people would notice the picture, but she hadn't expected this level of chaos. And she definitely hadn't expected Iman to publicly humiliate her. She scrolled through his stories over and over, her stomach in knots. It wasn't that she was hiding anything. Not really. But she also didn't feel like she owed the world an explanation. She'd been under a microscope for so long, every little decision dissected by strangers who claimed to care but really just wanted something to gossip about. Still, the more she thought about Iman's comment, the angrier she became. He knew better than anyone how hard the last year had been. He knew how much it hurt her when people accused her of being fake. And yet, instead of texting her privately, he'd chosen to blast her in front of millions of people. After pacing around the suite for nearly an hour, she finally decided to post something herself. She opened her notes app and typed out a caption. "People will always try to dull your shine. Let them talk. I'm living." It wasn't exactly a denial, but it was all she felt like giving them. She paired it with a new photo, this one of her standing in the ocean, arms spread wide. As soon as she hit share, she turned her phone off and tossed it on the bed. But of course that didn't stop the rumors. If anything, it made them worse. Because now, the lack of a clear answer was seen as proof that she was hiding something. Within hours, an anonymous source reached out to several blogs claiming to be a friend of Teyana's. They said she was tired of people speculating about her body and was planning to announce her pregnancy in a magazine exclusive. The so-called insider claimed Teyana had confided she was nervous about telling Iman because she knew he'd react badly. The leak made everything 10 times messier. Suddenly, people were convinced they had the inside scoop, and even the mainstream news started covering the story. Meanwhile, Iman was at home trying to process everything. He hadn't expected his comment to go viral. He'd been angry, and he'd let that anger spill out before he could think it through. But now, seeing the backlash, he wasn't sure he'd done the right thing. Late that night, he picked up his phone and sent Teyana a text. "If you're pregnant, I wish you'd just tell me. Our daughter deserves to know." It took her almost an hour to reply. When she finally did, it was only 3 words. "Leave me alone." He read the message over and over, feeling a mix of regret and resentment. He didn't want to fight with her anymore. But he also didn't want to feel like he was the last to know something this big. He thought about their daughter and how confusing it must be for her to see her parents fighting all the time. He wondered if she would grow up thinking this was normal. The next morning, Teyana finally decided to break her silence. She went live on Instagram, sitting on the edge of her bed, no makeup, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. She looked exhausted, but her voice was steady as she spoke. "Since everyone seems to think they know what's happening in my life," she began, "let me just say this once. My body is not public property. If I want to hold my stomach, that doesn't mean I owe you an announcement. If I gain 5 pounds, it's not a scandal. I'm tired of feeling like I have to explain myself to people who don't even care about me as a person." She paused, taking a shaky breath. "I'm not confirming anything. I'm not denying anything. I'm just saying, let me live. I deserve that much." She ended the video by thanking her supporters and turned off the camera. Within minutes, clips of the live stream were everywhere. Some people applauded her for standing up for herself. Others accused her of being manipulative. It seemed no matter what she did, she couldn't win. For Iman, watching the video was like a punch to the gut. He knew she was right. He knew they'd both contributed to the mess. But it didn't make it any easier to swallow. He felt like he was losing control of everything. His relationship with Teyana, his place in their daughter's life, even his own reputation. The following week was chaos. A whirlwind of headlines, hot takes, and hashtags. You couldn't scroll for 5 seconds without seeing their names. From TikTok reactions to Twitter threads, everyone had something to say. Celebrities weighed in, some with vague prayers-up tweets, others choosing sides like it was a boxing match. Even random gossip columnists, the kind who'd never met Teyana or Iman a day in their lives, suddenly claimed to have inside sources. Then came the betrayal that hit different. Teyana's own circle getting dragged into the spotlight. Some of her so-called friends stood by her, publicly defending her strength, her story. But others, they chose shade over support, dropping cryptic comments and subtle likes on posts that questioned her version of events. The betrayal stung harder than the strangers. Because when people you trusted start playing both sides, it doesn't just feel like drama, it feels like war. Still, Teyana tried to keep her peace. She flooded her feed with vacation photos. Smiling on beaches, sipping cocktails, posing under the sun. A curated display of calm, like she was unbothered. But behind the filters and captions, the reality was darker. Every time she unlocked her phone, there was a fresh wave of hate waiting. Comments calling her dramatic, fake, unfit. Strangers dissecting her life like it was a reality show. She told herself, "They don't know me. They don't matter." But lies have a way of sticking, and no matter how strong you are, some words leave bruises. Iman, on the other hand, disappeared from the public eye. No posts, no statements, no interviews, just silence. A move some called classy, others called calculated. But his focus was elsewhere. While the internet spiraled, he stayed close to his daughter, reading her bedtime stories, taking her to school, brushing her curls in the morning. He didn't care about trending. He cared about her. But even as they each tried to protect her in their own way, one truth hovered like a shadow. Things would never go back to how they were. The trust. Shattered by too many missteps and too much noise. They'd try, sure, for her. But deep down, both Teyana and Iman knew, some cracks never fully disappear. Because not every story wraps up neatly with apologies and redemption arcs. Sometimes the truth is tangled, the pain is mutual, and no one walks away feeling clean. For Teyana and Iman, this wasn't a fairy tale. But if there was one thing they still agreed on, one unshakable truth, it was this: their daughter deserved peace. She deserved parents who could be better, even if they couldn't be together. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough to start over.